Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Tuesday, September 6th, 2022. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Now, if you're looking for my MLB best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Of course, I'm always running my $15 MLB best bet, so you can check that out at Pick Dawgz Premium. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Tuesday, September 6th. First up, we see the New York Mets taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We're going to see Jacob deGrom and Bryce Wilson on the mound for now, but because of the rain out on Monday, we're going to see a doubleheader on Wednesday. We'll have to see if Mitch Keller and Taijuan Walker, those are the starters projected to go on Monday, if they're going to be moved to this game on Tuesday or maybe moved to a doubleheader game on Wednesday. But either if it's Walker versus Keller or deGrom versus Wilson, I do like the Mets on the run line, laying the 1.5 runs, especially if it's deGrom on the mound. But obviously, if it is that pitching matchup, the price isn't going to be as good because this is a complete mismatch on paper. Jacob deGrom, one of the better pitchers in the National League, in my opinion, when he's healthy, the best pitcher in baseball. And Bryce Wilson struggling this season with an ERA above 6. Mets hit right-handed pitching very well, so I don't see him having too many issues against Wilson. So I'm going to take the New York Mets here, laying the 1.5 runs to start the day. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays with Rich Hill and Drew Rasmussen on the mound for this game. Now, Rich Hill just faced these Tampa Bay Rays back on August 27th. He had a fantastic outing. He went 7 innings, giving up no earned runs with 11 strikeouts, but he has been really inconsistent this year. His last start against the Rangers, he only went 4 innings of work, giving up 4 earned runs, 4 walks, and only 2 strikeouts in that game. I think with the Rays facing him yet again in only about a week span, I don't really love his chances. I do think Tampa Bay will be able to get to him in this game. While on the other side, Drew Rasmussen has been so strong this season with a 2.7 ERA and even better numbers at home, where he's got a 6-1 record with a 1.97 ERA. We know he just came shy of a perfect game at home earlier this year against the Orioles, and he's got a 178 opponent's batting average at Tropicana Field, only allowing 4 home runs in 64 innings pitched at home. I like Rasmussen in this game. Give me the Tampa Bay Rays on the money line. In our next game, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Jesus Luzardo and Aaron Nola are the projected starters. Now, I do like Jesus Luzardo as a young starter in this loaded Marlins rotation. They have a ton of depth in their starting rotation, even the bullpen as well. But I don't love this Marlins offense. It's been the weakest offense, in my opinion, in the last month and a half, maybe 2 months now, even with the Detroit Tigers struggling the way they are. This Marlins team, it is rare for them to score more than 2 runs at this point. It's extremely rare to see them score more than 4 runs, and I don't think that's going to be enough here against this Phillies team with Aaron Nola on the mound, who's arguably their best starting pitcher this year at 3.43 ERA. At home, he struggled this season a little bit, a 4.04 ERA at Citizens Bank Park. But against this struggling Marlins offense, I think he has a good outing. We've seen him face the Marlins for about 15 innings this season with a 1.17 ERA against them, a 182 opponent's batting average. He hasn't given up a single home run. He's got 16 strikeouts in those innings. So I think Nola continues to pitch well against this Fish team. And I think on the other side, Jesus Luzardo, like I said, I do like his game overall. But in his last couple starts, the strikeout numbers haven't really been there. His last 13 innings, only 8 strikeouts. And those were starts against the Rays and A's, 2 teams that can definitely strike out a few times against lefties. So a little concerning there. The Phillies have hit lefties very well this season. And in the last month overall, when you look at their numbers, number 3 in team OPS against lefties, number 6 in isolated power in the last month. So I think everything is advantageous for the Phillies in this game. Give me the Phillies on the run line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Kyle Bradish and Mitch White are the projected starters. Kyle Bradish is pitching really well in his last few outings. He's faced some tough teams, and both of those games were on the road against the Houston Astros and the Cleveland Guardians. He went 15 innings combined, giving up only 4 base hits, no earned runs with 11 strikeouts. We know, A, that both of those Guardians and Astros lineups are pretty solid against righties this season, and B, they don't strike out much, so to have 11 Ks combined in those 2 starts, pretty impressive stuff. Now, Bradish has faced the Blue Jays quite a few times as of late, which is a little worrisome, but I still think he's the better option here when compared to Mitch White. And with how well the Orioles have played at Camden Yards, I think it's worth it to take the home team here on the money line. So give me the Baltimore Orioles here on the money line. Next up, we see the New York Yankees hosting the Minnesota Twins. Joe Ryan and Garrett Cole are the projected starters. Joe Ryan has really struggled away from Target Field this season. He's got a 4-3 record away from home, but a 5.05 ERA. He's only pitched 46 innings away and 10 home runs allowed in those innings compared to 72 home innings and only 9 home runs allowed. So more homers and far fewer innings. The opponent's batting average is much higher at 266 away from home. And you look at his last start, he was at Target Field, but he still struggled against the Red Sox. 5 innings, 5 earned runs, and 2 homers. I don't like his chances in this game against the Yankees. And, Garrett Cole did struggle against these Twins back earlier in the season, but I think he's good enough for the Yankees to win this game and win it pretty convincingly. I'm going to take the New York Yankees on the run line for this one. Next up, we see a battle between the two teams with Red Seas as their logos, the Chicago Cubs and the Cincinnati Reds. Justin Dunn and Wade Miley are the projected starters. Now, I don't really love this game overall. I don't expect Wade Miley to go too deep into this game. This is going to be his first start back since being placed on the 60-day IL since June 10th his last start was. So he's been good in the limited innings we've seen him in, but I don't expect him to go more than 3 innings in this game. On the other side, Justin Dunn, he has been pitching well on the road, a 3.45 road ERA, but you got to look at his numbers against the Cubs last time he faced them back on August 14th. He only went 3 2/3 innings, giving up 7 base hits, 5 earned runs, and 3 homers in that game. Now, the Reds bats did back him up. They actually won that game 8-5 in the end, but I don't trust them in this game enough, so I'm going to take the Chicago Cubs here on the money line at Wrigley. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Washington Nationals. We're going to see Paolo Espino and Jose Quintana as the projected starters. I don't really think the Nationals can compete in this game. Paolo Espino 0-6 with that 4.22 ERA. The Cardinals, they are known to hit lefties very well, but they've also hit righties pretty darn well in the last month. And their team OPS and isolated power numbers are very good against right-handed pitching and amongst the league leaders. They're third in isolated power. They're number 1 in team OPS. They have one of the lowest strikeout rates against those righties. So Espino's giving up some home runs as of late. And his last few starts haven't been really that bad, but he's also faced some weaker lineups. In his last 5 starts, the Cubs, the Reds, the Athletics, even a struggling Padres team. And against those Padres, he struggled a bit. So I don't like his chances on the road here. Give me the St. Louis Cardinals on the run line. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the Kansas City Royals. We're going to see Shane Bieber and Chris Bubich on the mound for this game. Now, Chris Bubich is a left-handed pitcher, and normally I'd say, maybe the Royals have a chance with a lefty on the mound, as the Guardians don't really hit lefties well overall in 2022, but they're actually hitting lefties better than they're hitting righties in the last month, and that's why you got to always check the up-to-date information, because things change all the time in baseball, and the Guardians are not hitting lefties too well. I mean, they're 18th in team OPS, but far better numbers than against righties, and the good thing is the Guardians don't strike out a lot, and Chris Bubich doesn't really have a lot of strikeout stuff. So his last start against the White Sox, he only had 1 strikeout through 6 innings of work. He gave up 2 home runs. He gave up 4 walks, so he was very lucky to only give up 2 earned runs in those 6 innings. I don't like him in this game against the Guardians. He's given up at least 4 earned runs in 3 of his last 4, at least 2 home runs in each of his last 2 starts. So give me the Cleveland Guardians on the road on the run line with Bieber on the mound. Next up, we see the Texas Rangers taking on the Houston Astros. Glenn Otto and Framber Valdez are the starters. The Astros are crushing left-handed pitching in the last 30 days, but against righties, not so much. You look at their numbers. Team OPS ranked 18th in team OPS. Isolated power numbers, they're ranked 19th in the league. Their strikeout numbers aren't bad, so they're not really striking out much. I do expect that eventually Houston will be able to get their numbers up against righties, but Glenn Otto, he's been a strange pitcher lately. His last start wasn't too bad. 5 innings, 8 strikeouts against the Red Sox. He did give up 3 earned runs in the end, but he faced these Astros back on August 10th, and he kept his team in the game, and they actually won the game outright, 8-4 in extra innings. Otto went 5 innings, 2 earned runs with 5 strikeouts in that one, and in fact, the Rangers have won 4 of the last 5 starts that Otto has had outright. So I do think that he will be okay in this game. 5 innings of decent pitching. But on the other side, Framber Valdez, there's no doubt he's been one of the stronger pitchers in the league in 2022. But he's facing these Rangers yet again. He's faced them quite a bit now. His last start was against these Rangers, and he went 8 innings. He only gave up 2 earned runs, but gave up 2 home runs in that game. And now this will be the 3rd start in less than a month against the Rangers. I don't love that. The Rangers overall are hitting lefties very well in the last 30 days, top 10 in team OPS. So when you're facing the same pitcher over and over, you're starting to hit the long ball, starting to get more fly balls, and 2 homers in that game. I do think that Framber could be in trouble in this one, and the quality start streak may be at risk here. So I'm going to take the Texas Rangers plus the 1.5 runs. I think they keep this one competitive. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Colorado Rockies. We're going to see Brandon Woodruff and Chad Cole as the projected starters. Brandon Woodruff's coming off a rough start against the Arizona Diamondbacks. 5 innings, or 5 2/3 innings, 5 earned runs, and a homer. But, overall, a nice 3.54 ERA, 136 strikeouts, and about 114 innings. However, an ERA above 4.67 actually, away from home, and at Coors Field in his career, an ERA above 9. So not really the best spot for Woodruff. And on the other side, I don't really trust Jack Cole at all. An ERA above 5, he has really regressed as the season's continued, and I don't love his chances against the Brewers team that loves right-handed pitching. So I think this is going to be a higher scoring game. I do think the Brewers have a solid bullpen, but I think both of these starters could be pulled early in this game. And even if Woodruff has a good start, we know he's a strikeout guy that can have some issues with his control. So usually the pitch count goes up quite a bit for him early on. He's only gone 7 innings one time in his last 5 starts. So I'm going to think we're going to see a lot of bullpen in this game. Give me the over in this Brewers-Rockies one. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Eduardo Rodriguez and Max Myers are the projected starters. Max Myers' home and road splits are really something else. It's kind of crazy. You see his road splits. He's had 19 innings away from home, a .95 ERA, 21 strikeouts, and a 138 opponent's batting average. He's had about 19 innings at home this season with a 9.31 ERA, a 349 opponent's batting average, 9 home runs allowed in those 19 innings. So about a home run every other inning. That's not what you want to see. Only 15 strikeouts and 30 base hits. So he's pitching at home here. I know the Tigers are not good offensively, but if there was a game that they could compete offensively in this series, this is the one when you're facing Myers at home. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers plus a half a run in the first 5 innings. Eduardo Rodriguez coming off a rough start, but the Angels' strikeout numbers against lefties through the roof this season. Their team OPS numbers, not the best, even though they have some power numbers against lefties. I still think Rodriguez does a good enough job. I think it's going to be a low-scoring first 5 innings. I'm going to take the Detroit Tigers plus a half a run as the underdog. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the San Diego Padres. Pretty good pitching matchup we see here in Merrill Kelly versus Joe Musgrove. I do think the dog has a chance in this game. I'm going to take the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1.5 and sprinkle a little bit on the money line. Merrill Kelly's pitching really well overall in 2022, a 2.84 ERA. Even better numbers away from home as he's 8-1 with a 2.74 ERA. And, Joe Musgrove, although he's having a good season with San Diego, as of late, not the best stuff. He's given up 3 earned runs in his last start against the Giants. Now, he did have 11 strikeouts in that game, but that was against a San Francisco lineup that's been one of the worst against righties in the last month. And overall, Musgrove has faced a lot of weak lineups. The Giants twice, the Royals, the Nationals, and the Marlins. And he's given up at least 1 earned run in each of those games, at least 1 home run in 4 of those 5 games. So really no excuse for those numbers against those poor of offenses, those weak of offenses. And even against the Rockies at home, which we know Colorado doesn't even hit very well away from Coors Field. Musgrove went 4 2/3 innings, 6 earned runs, and a home run in that game. So an ERA above 4 in the month of August. And now you're facing a Diamondbacks team that not only hits right-handed pitching well, I mean, they're number 6 in team OPS, and then in the top 15 as well, number 11 in isolated power against righties in the last month. But they're also dead last in the league, or I should say not dead last, but they have the lowest strikeout rate, so a very good thing, 15.2%. Lowest strikeout rate against righties in the last month, even lower than the Cleveland Guardians. So the Diamondbacks are hitting righties well. This is going to be a tough spot for Joe Musgrove, in my opinion. And I think Merrill Kelly is the better starting pitcher. So give me the Arizona Diamondbacks here, plus 1.5 and on the money line. Next up, we see the Atlanta Braves taking on the Oakland Athletics. Cole Irvin and Kyle Wright are the projected starters. Cole Irvin having a good year overall for the A's. I will say, 3.35 ERA and a 1.94 ERA at home this season. He's given the A's some good innings. This is a rotation that didn't look great on paper. You lose Frankie Montes at the trade deadline. Now it's even weaker. But, Cole Irvin has stepped it up. And I don't really love this matchup for him. He did come off a rough start against the Washington Nationals, giving up 5 earned runs. And right now the Atlanta Braves are crushing left-handed pitching really overall this season, but in the last month as well. Number 2 in team OPS, number 5 in isolated power. So I do like Atlanta on the run line in this game. I think Kyle Wright's the much better option, but not my favorite game on the board. I just don't think there's a lot of value in this one. You're going to be laying a good amount of negative odds with the Braves on the run line. So I'm just going to take the Braves here, lean minus 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Seattle Mariners. Johnny Cueto and Logan Gilbert are the projected starters for this one. Johnny Cueto's pitching well for Chicago this season. His ERA below 3 overall, but even better numbers on the road. In his 59 2/3 innings away from home, only 4 home runs allowed, a 1.81 ERA. I think he pitches well here against the Seattle Mariners. And on the other side, Logan Gilbert coming off one of his best starts of 2022. He went 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs, and 9 strikeouts in that game. Starting to see the Gilbert from the beginning of the season, and that's important for Seattle if they want to make a run in the playoffs. So I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. I do trust both of these bullpens as well. So give me the under in Chicago, Seattle. Next up, we see the final game of the night, the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Tyler Anderson is going for the Dodgers. No official starter for San Francisco quite yet. Tyler Anderson pitched against the Giants a few times this season, about 11 innings of work, giving up 5 earned runs, so about a 4.09 ERA. That's solid numbers, not the greatest, but this Giants lineup definitely hits lefties better than righties, so that's expected to see. But I still think the Giants have a big disadvantage when it comes to their bullpen, and if they decide to go with the bullpen game here with no projected starter right now, I don't like their chances away from home. And Tyler Anderson has been pitching really well at Dodger Stadium this season with a 2.2 ERA, better strikeout numbers, fewer home runs allowed, 203 opponent's batting average. So I think Anderson's good enough here. Even if he gives up a few runs in about 5-6 innings of work, I think the Dodgers bats will back him up. So give me the Los Angeles Dodgers on the run line to end the night. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday, September 6th. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.